Welcome to Season 2 of Let This Mind podcast. Come along on the journey with us as three therapists discuss mental health topics from a biblical perspective. We're talking about themes like boundaries, grief, trauma, and how to let our minds be healed and whole. Because mental health isn't new. It's just finally being heard. Direct hit.
Direct hit.
Direct hit. Bang.
Direct hit. Baby, 1, 2. Let's go.
Listen, when you hear direct hit, that means it's hitting it right. It's not missing the target. Bang, so we're grateful. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 8. Okay, we're moving right through. Can't believe it. I'm like, what? Episode 8 of Let This Mind podcast. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for riding with us for this whole season, for commenting, for sharing your thoughts, for sharing the lives. We appreciate you. We want to take a moment to say that. I am your girl, Steph Jones, also known as Lilac Calandra, marriage and family therapist, mindfulness life coach, and you already know where I'm going with this. I want to reference the vow that I took to allow people to know healing. Y'all know right now here, right? At this time, 2025, January 21st. You don't have to wait until we get going up yonder on the other side of Zion. Now, okay, we can do it now. I am one of 3 co-hosts that navigate this podcast that we have come together collaboratively to do with 3 therapists, and we have our own perspectives with the main goal of letting people know, let's do this thing. Let's heal. Let's go forward. And let's live out our purpose. So I want to let my other co-hosts introduce themselves. Then we're going to jump right into the topic.
All right. Well, I am Dominique. As you guys know, I am a clinical social worker, and I am killing the stigma that Jesus is not for therapy or that therapy is not for Jesus. We are killing that stigma, and we are just encouraging love and hope and peace through counseling for families, couples, whoever. So I'm willing to go wherever you are to get and show you some love. All right. So that's me, Damo.
Hey, y'all. Jermae, licensed mental health counselor. And, everyone's Black therapeutic auntie. I am here for the babies, for the kids, not the younger babies and them teenagers and young adults.
Specify.
I got to, because them babies be, whoo. Anyway, I am here to be a guide, to be a compass, to help young people create the blueprint. They have the vision, they have the goals, but we don't have the strategy. So here we go, building the blueprint. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.
Love it. Okay. Love it. So on this episode, hey, Pastor.
Hey, we glad you're here. Praise
him. Okay. Praise him. There we go. You here, we're glad. Okay. So on this episode, we're talking about being a prisoner of silence and really the need for asking for help. Like, this is such a touchy topic because in this society, sometimes we're just encouraged to focus on ourselves, and we're just encouraged to, say, I can do it. I got it. I'm strong. I don't have to worry about anyone asking for help. Or we say, I asked for help before, and then now, I don't want to ask again. All this stuff happens. So we're just going to tap into that, that topic, and really come from very personal places, because as we were talking about, we've all been there where, you want to ask for help, but when you're in prison, you might want to ask for something, you might want to do something, but you're locked up. You can't. Yeah. So just kind of jumping into that. What does that look like for us? Like what we've seen, not just personally, but in our professional life and in church and where we are. What have we seen, and why have we seen that the prison of silence is that roadblock, or in what ways have we seen that? And then, we don't just talk about the issues here. We're also going to navigate to the solutions and what it looks like to break out of that prison cell, and never be locked up again. So let's jump right into it.
Yeah. I would say silence is like a learned behavior, right? Whether learned because You were never allowed to talk, so you never developed the skills and the vocals that is your voice, and learned how to, project and say what you had to say. Or because the generations before you, silent generations before you, they modeled that, where yes, there might be pain, yes, there might be familial generational traumas, but we don't talk about that because we don't talk about it. It doesn't exist, right? So you either learn it from watching it and observing it, or you were forced to be silent. And I believe it's really hard to break from that, because if you never learn how to, really hard to do it. And since people aren't taking the time to be like, here's how to find your voice, here's how to utilize your voice, and break free of this silence prison, then we just stay there.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with that. Absolutely. And I also want to touch on like the society that we live in too. Like how much we place out words that really set a standard, and we really don't pay attention to how much they set a standard. So things like, oh, we don't need nobody, or, I'm okay. I just got it's just me, myself, and I, and all these different things that we have already set a standard of and made a culture. So we have now then taken that, and now anything that looks different from a independent woman or independent man, or men can't cry, anything that looks different from that is attacked in such a way, when it's really the truth. It's really the truth. What comes to me all the time when it comes to silence is the fact that throughout scripture, you see that if there's one thing that is important to reiterate, it's the fact that we cannot neglect to come together and to gather together. The importance of unity, the importance of a whole body coming together, to be able to push forth against any type of agenda that is opposing truth. So I think we have spoken out into the atmosphere and have set a standard and set a culture of being silent and making it okay, dealing with things by yourself because no one will understand me. We've made it okay. We have literally nourished the seed of that stigma, and now it's time to tear it down. So I think it's really, like you said, just the things that we modeled, and now that we've modeled them for so long, now we're actually transforming that and bringing it out as a seed, and now it's planted. And now we have to destroy it, because it's hitting us in ways where we're losing people. We're losing people because of it. So to me, that's what it is. It's the standard that we have set, the culture to handle it on your own, figure it out by yourself. No one really cares. The devil is a liar. The devil is a liar. So yes,
a big liar. Okay. And the truth is not in him. But I mean, just what you both are saying, I think our society has normalized this, and it's also made it kind of cute or like attractive to say, like, I'm a lone wolf. I made it on my own.
Yeah.
I didn't need anyone. I kind of pulled myself up by my own bootstraps. Like I and you see memes, you see posts, you see on every platform that people are like, I made it on my own. I don't need anybody else. Not even so much my circle is small, but like, I don't need anybody. We have truly normalized that and internalized that.
Yeah.
And then you go forward and you wonder why, okay, I'm needing help, but I cannot push myself. I don't have the fuel. I don't have the energy. I don't have the gas to push myself forward, because inside I have said, I don't need anybody else. I can do this on my own, which is a lie. And Dominique, you talked about our need for community and how we need to exist, not forsaking the fellowship of the saints. And that doesn't just mean going to a church house, that, you know what I mean? And I think we kind of just put it in a box in that way. Like, that's an argument to go to church. I'm not saying don't go to church. I'm just saying we shouldn't forsake the fellowship of the saints. These are three saints here fellowshipping. You know what I mean? Like, so we have to expand our mind to what that looks like. And a lot of people have neglected the community because based on what's happened, Jermaine, you mentioned like in our pre-talk about that trauma response. What does that trauma response look like? And how does that keep us in that jail? Like, we're in manacles and shackles and chains because someone along our journey did not help us. And so we have made an internal vow to never let anyone else help us again.
Right.
Because And it could be multiple people. We're saying we understand the trauma response. It could be multiple people.
Yeah.
But come on now. For the rest of our lives, we're not going to have anyone help us. All right. We're here to, this is what we're here to unravel. Come on now.
Yeah. I just think about like someone actually like, and I know it might be very extra, but I'm a little extra. So I think about it like this, like, can you imagine like you're about to die, like you're choking and people are trying to come help and you like, no, swapping hands like, leave me, I got this. You clearly don't, you're dying. Like you clearly do not have this. There is something lodged right here and you need the pressure, you need the push, you need someone else's hands to get that out. So can you imagine someone like, no, like absolutely just sliding like a fly? No, I'm just picturing that. Like that looks, like you said, that looks insane. That looks insane. Yeah, that is literally you just giving it up.
And we need visuals like that because I think we downplay it way too much. I think we don't acknowledge the fact that disappointment after disappointment after disappointment after violence and abuse and silencing, that we're just like, all right, like I'm not doing this anymore, right? This learned helplessness thing that pops up when you're just like, I try to speak and I try to advocate for self and I try to share what I'm going through, and like Dawn was doing, she's like over here slapping stuff and you're just like, there's only so many hits I can take. I know the Bible talks about when someone hit you in one cheek, give them the other. It's like I ran out of cheeks. I ran out. And it's hard because you really want to not suffer in silence, but you don't have the space. The space was never created. And when it was created, it never got to stay. And so you're just like, all right, but then if I can't trust you, I'm going to have to deal with it on self, right? And the whole lone wolf and I can do this and hashtag self-made. It's like, all right, y'all. First of all, you didn't get traumatized by yourself, so you ain't going to heal by yourself. And when you're by yourself,
preach,
find yourself in these loops and the enemy's going to play with your mind because these negative, intrusive thoughts are on loops, y'all. And sometimes we need someone to like snap us out of it, be like, hey, listen, I know what you're thinking. And sometimes it might be valid. However, like Steph would always say, your feelings aren't facts, okay? They are feelings. They don't stick along for much longer unless you let them. And it's like we have to remember community is so important because community surrounds us and it encapsulates us and it shows us like, I'm here for you and I don't want to see you suffer. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of people who have that community or have people who are willing to show up for them and saying like, listen, I don't care what it is, like whatever it is that you're going through, I'm here. Even if I'm not doing anything but just sitting here and listening to you, I'm going to sit here and listen because I don't want you carrying that by yourself. And people are so weighed down that it's almost like it keeps their mouth closed because it's like, talk why? Talk how? Like, I don't see benefits from it if historically, and the brain always goes back to the last reference point. So if the last reference is failure, disappointment, talked about, stuff got dragged in social media land and they're just like, I'm not doing it. So we as community have to do better in supporting people and showing up way better than what we've been doing.
Absolutely. Can I just jump on that really quick? Because I think that goes right into stigma too, because we don't realize how much we then now stigmatize, right? So the stigma of silence, that stigma now looks like just what you just said, my last reference. So now not only is there a stigma of silence, but there's a stigma in the lack of real, genuine love in humanity. Like there's a lack of that because now our last reference point is just that, the lack of love, the fact that somebody wasn't patient with me, the fact that somebody wasn't compassionate, the fact that somebody told me about myself, the fact that somebody was told my business, the fact that somebody broke that level of confidentiality and trust, like that. Then now that pain, it feeds into even more. So now the stigma of silence becomes a new stigma of, oh, you can't trust anybody in the world. And that is not so. There is much more good out here than bad. And I refuse to let Satan believe that he has made us truly take in the message that there is more evil out here. There is more good. There is more good because God is almighty. So there is so much more good than it is bad. We just tend to hyper fixate on the flaws that we have as carnal men and women. We're fleshly, we're human, we're going to make mistakes. So we look at that, but there is so much more to people. There's so much more to extend in these hands than pain. There's so much more. So we have, I wanted to pull on that because it starts to build so many other beliefs and core beliefs that we have about our communities and about our people and about our God. And then we stay there and we die right there in the silence. So it starts to feed on that.
Yeah, we die. And really, as you're talking, I'm realizing that we build the prison. No one puts us in the prison. Right. We build that prison brick by brick. With all those materials that you're talking about. Something happens. And again, we do validate and we do acknowledge that there are real things that happen. There are really traumatic issues and scenarios that occurred and are still occurring now. We acknowledge that. It's not a but to negate what we said. It's a however. Yes. However, what do we want to do to break out of that prison cell that we built? No one put us in there. We built it. You know what I mean? And we ended up imprisoning and encasing ourselves because we said no one can help us and no one can be there for us. And that's it. And I have to just navigate this life alone. Right. And there's more bad than good. Right. We've fallen into that trap. Every time we start believing those things, that's another brick on the prison cell. And what started down below now becomes high and big as Alcatraz and as big as, the biggest prison. And we're locked in there. Yeah. And it's like getting out of there seems like an impossible feat because we're still saying nobody can help me. I mean, 8 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
And we're saying that not one of them can help us. Not one. That's like saying nobody likes me. This is an irrational thought. Now we talking, we talk to our clients about these things. Yeah. Nobody understands me. Nobody likes me. Everybody in the world. Every soul. How would you know that nobody likes you? Right. Nobody understands you. Nobody can help you. That's good. You know what I mean? And then it's really taking the accountability for us sharing. Dominique, you were saying us sharing. Us sharing, what are we saying? How are we acknowledging that maybe we have let some things out that we shouldn't have to certain people and vessels and places that we shouldn't have, right? Yes. So the discernment comes in. The discernment has to come in. We have to press the gas of the discernment. Yes. Should I be sharing this in my low place? In my low season, in my low place, when I'm down I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel, I have nothing else from my overflow. I'm about to tap into my own portion. I need to be around people who are going to be like, I see you're being silent and I see you're being quiet. I can tell that you're on the precipice of isolation. And I just want to tap you on your shoulder and say, you don't have to be there. Yeah. And I'm here for you. When we're in our low places, we want to be around people who are going to hug us and love us and not spread gossip and start speaking around, And at times we can be so desperate because we lack community. Or we're just like, I need to get this off. We have to pay attention that everybody isn't fit to carry our weight.
Absolutely.
Everybody isn't fit to do it. Absolutely. And in the safe space of our community, and we talked about the iron sharpening iron. Yeah. You can't, if you're an iron sword and you're trying to hit up against brass and other metals, you won't be sharpened, you'll be dulled. So a lot of us are in prison because we're in a dull place because we haven't found anything to sharpen ourselves against. So we're encouraging you to find community. Yes. Okay. Good community. Community worthy of the weight.
Yeah, that we carry. When something tastes bad. So we saying a good community. I'm not gonna go there, but we know
something
when something tastes bad.
Something like what?
Yeah, let's not. We know when something tastes
bad. The train is moving.
Okay.
We're gonna get together, y'all.
Let's navigate this train away from the gooey, the cheesy,
or the lack of cheesy.
We're moving.
We're moving.
Okay, we're moving take away. We see Matt here. We don't want him chiming in. Get him going too. We're shutting this down.
And that was good. Good community.
Yeah,
that's what we're looking for.
It's authentic community.
Yeah,
because when we look around and who's in our inner circle, can they hold our weight?
Right there.
Can they hold our weight?
That's it. Chris Walker said right there, normalizing seeking wise counsel. Often the hurt comes from choosing the wrong counsel. We just ready to tell everybody everything. Chill.
Ready to tell everybody everything.
Yeah.
And those who are being pulled away from us. And it doesn't have to be in animosity or negativity. Yeah. If we recognize that people are being pulled away from us, we're not supposed to be telling them things. We let people go. We keep our hands open. We don't force anyone to stay. Yeah. We don't make our connections. If something needs to go, let it go. So we can make space and room. And then you want people who are going to break you out of prison.
Yes.
You want people who are going to break you out of jail. I'm just saying.
Me up out of there.
Who's going to do a heist? Who's going to break you out of prison? Some people will leave you in there because you being in prison helps them. It helps them, it helps them feel better about themselves.
Yeah.
Now, who is going to break me out of this prison? Who's going to come in and chisel and carve a way out? Shawshank Redemption. Who's going to help me get out? That's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. That go. But it's true. And it really is hard because a lot of people may not have that, or you really felt like someone someone you could trust and you couldn't. So what I say is, you have to, and this is where we have to be honest, right? Because just because grandma, right, is the one that everyone goes to and stuff like that, but grandma also gossip. So because I know that about grandma and I'm honest about that about grandma might not be the person I come to when it comes to certain things if I know that it getting out will hurt. We have to be honest about the thing. We have to be honest about the characteristic of a person. I can't put, if I saved, let's say I saved $2,000 and that took so much and I put it in the hands of my auntie, but I know my auntie gamble. That was not wise. Like, you have to be honest about where people, regardless of the superhero effect that we tend to have, right? When we look at certain people, but you have to be honest about it. They're flawed just like them. David and Saul, right? Saul was flawed, but David looked unto him in a certain way. He honored him. He was flawed. He was a jealous man. He was flawed. So it comes with, so you have to be honest about the thing, because when you're honest about the characteristic of a thing, it doesn't change that you love them. It doesn't change that you honor them, but it's me recognizing that this may be a problem, and to protect something that's so close to me and to protect the relationship that I have with this person. Maybe this isn't, they're not qualified for this part of it. And that's okay. But we have to be honest about that. That's also what comes with silence. The honesty factor has to come in with ourselves, how we look at people, what people show, what people present. We have to, so that we can make the actual decision, the good decision with the facts that we have. I can't really tell the gossiper. I can't tell grandma, because grandma gonna tell mom, dad, auntie, uncle, and a couple of the neighbors down the street. I can't do that.
Everybody.
I can't do it.
Daddy and everybody.
So you just have to be real with where people at, and it doesn't make them less than you. It just makes them a person with a flaw, just like you. So if that's their flaw, okay, maybe not that, but there's other ways they sharpen you, just maybe not in that area. So just being honest about that, so that you can make the actual, like, that decision, that battle of deciding when to say something, who to say something to. It comes with that. It comes with understanding the facts of character in a person, and realize we're human. We have Okay,
It does. And really what I'm hearing you say, Lady D, is a boundary. It sounds like a boundary. My ears are picking up the boundary. Boundary alert. Boundary alert. And when we jump into that, and we jump into the boundary of, I'm going to watch what I say to these people, because I'm acknowledging I'm not in delusion anymore. I'm not tricking myself, and I'm not setting unrealistic expectations on people, hoping and wishing and praying that they can handle it. We know they can't. So let's acknowledge that we're going to put the boundary, not a defense mechanism. That's another thing we had talked about in that pre-chat, that we're making the clear distinction that we're putting a boundary up so that we're not imprisoned. Boundaries keep us out of prison, right? When boundaries become the prison, then that's the unnecessary defense mechanism. That yes, maybe I needed this at one time, but I don't need this anymore because I'm acknowledging, I'm being honest with myself and others that you're not able to carry this. And me telling you this is actually pushing me further back into the prison. I want to get closer to that door so I can get the keys. And I realize we have the keys in our hands the whole time. When we share certain things and do certain things and take certain actions, we actually push ourselves further back into the jail cell. And then we have a farther way to get ahead. So I love that. And accountability, the A word, like people don't want to take accountability.
Right.
Oh, I had a part to play in this. It wasn't all that person's fault or all this group's fault. I can't play the victim. Nobody wants to do that. But that's the process of breaking out of the prison cell. And that's the part that we acknowledge that is hard, right? We acknowledge that it's hard. And we're going through it too. Don't think we're speaking above you. We've had to walk through this journey. It's a daily walk that we're still walking.
It's still walking.
The pull to isolate, it's very tempting.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
always.
Isn't it?
Always.
Because we think it's safer that way. We're like, well, if I'm by myself, can't nobody bother me and can't nobody disappoint me. So I'm gonna stay there. But like, no, I mean, technically, sure, but sometimes the worst enemy resides between two ears, and them thoughts be thoughtin', man. You be washing dishes. Yeah, you be washing dishes, and then that intrusive thought done drop, and you're like, oh wait, hold on. And if we're not careful, my mentor always says, her father told her that your mind is a nest. Don't let any bird just kind of take and rest in there. You know what I'm saying? Don't let any type of thought just rest in there. You have the authority to be like, when the thought comes, you got about like 90 seconds to be like, okay, you can stay there, or nah, this ain't it.
In some because I did like this, but then I'm thinking some birds have to be shot. You know,
Hey.
you have to shoot some birds.
Don't reenact that. Don't reenact
that.
You know, you got to shoot them right if they landed. And some birds, I love that. You know, the visualizations of everything. Some birds have landed. They built their nest. You know, they're taking things. We have to uproot those birds and we have to get them out, you know, and they have to go because those birds are mandated to lay eggs and create smaller versions of themselves. Absolutely. And that one thought becomes 10 thoughts, and 10 thoughts become 30 and then your mind is overtaken. That's where we see the breakdown and the imprisonment. We're just laying out the pattern. And we're just laying out the formula. This is the way you want to be in prison. That's the way to do it. So we're trying to say, let's not do that. That's not the way that we want to roll. You know, I think it's good to discuss the shame and guilt piece, right? Of being the prisoner of silence. You know, when you talk about being imprisoned and some of those reasons and ways that imprison us, we know that the tools of shame and guilt, we don't even need anyone else to do it. You know, just what you were saying, May. It's not the enemy. My old pastor used to say, it's not the enemy. It's the inner me, inner me, the us in here. And so how does that shame and guilt, contribute to our imprisonment, like adding the bricks and layers and the bars onto our jail cell?
So like when you were talking about how people lack this accountability thing, it's like accountability is like a cuss word out here in these streets.
It's a curse word. Yes.
But like in all honesty, because people lack accountability, we then take ownership of their end. So then we take full blame for what happens to us when it happens to us. And because we took ownership of something that did not belong to us, now we're just like, I can't tell people that because I'm supposed to be saved and I'm supposed to be married. I'm supposed to be kept, and I'm supposed to be a lady, and I'm supposed to be the man of the house. And like, we come up with all of these excuses, and it's like, hold on, you don't own it. Something that I told one of my clients, and she took it and ran with it, and it kind of sat with her and helped her, is we take ownership of stuff that does not belong to us. And that's why we're so quick to respond, because we think it's our job. Wow. And she was responding to everything that came to her door. I said, Miss Ma'am, the reason why it's on the other side of the door is because you have the authority to open said door or keep it closed. Yeah. They're not going to barge through. Everything that we have is whether it, like, there's this idea that everything is a decision.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And when we make those decisions, we have to acknowledge what we are deciding to do. If I'm going to take accountability for the wrongdoings that was done to me, that means I now own the responsibility to heal self, or I removed your part of it. So now the shame and guilt, it seeps in, and I can't say something because I should have known better. I should have done better. I've been saved for how long, or we was in a relationship for how long, and it's like, sure. Also, if it's not yours, don't own it.
Yeah.
If it's something outside of you, you're not in control of that. The only thing you can control is the little body you got right here. What you do and how you respond, that's on you. What is done to you, I don't care. Like, how they were like, oh, these girls that, got sexually abused, they must have wanted it because did you see what they were wearing?
Right.
Hold on.
Right.
Hold on.
Right.
It's because what I have on my body is what I have on my body. That does not give you the right, the privilege, the ownership to just use my body because of what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Or, whatever other things.
Yeah.
And I just think people like to take. That's just it. They like to take, and we will. If people aren't holding themselves accountable, we take on that shame and that guilt. And shame and guilt is like Steph was saying, it's the bars of the prison. It's the lock and key. And the enemy wants to use that as much as he can, because if we're shameful, like Adam and Eve, we're not going to go to our father. We're just going to be like, well, we're going to have to cover up, y'all, because we done messed up. And even though we know that he's a savior, even though we know that he's a redeemer, even though we know that he's a creator, even though we know that he has brought us out a few thousand, 100 times. No, this time is different.
This time got to be different.
This time is different.
He can't handle this.
He can't.
The creator of the universe.
That was good, man. That was good.
It was great. He can't handle this. I know he made the stars, the ocean. I know every living thing. He can't handle this. It's what we did was too great, and it was too much. That's wonderful. And I love what you were saying about we take on other people's stuff. A lack of accountability, right, causes us to take on other people's stuff. And we start putting ourselves in multiple prisons. You're not just in one prison, you're in multiple prisons. And prisons that don't belong to us. Like if I'm going to be in any prison, let it be my own.
Sure.
You can break yourself out, but it's hard to break yourself out of someone else's prison. Very, very good, very profound.
Yeah, I agree. Now I'm gonna touch on this because I'm now bear with me, y'all. I can't stand is pride, and I think pride is the cement to the bricks we place when we create
cement.
Even if you got escorted in by shame and guilt, it's pride that keeps you from tearing things down, right? So the scripture that always comes to mind is this: Mark 7, verse 20 and 21 and 22. All right. And he said, what comes out of a person is what defiles him. For from within, out of people's heart come. Now he lists a couple of things. He lists evil thoughts, greed, evil actions, disease, and so many other things. But in the list of that, there's something called pride. And it says all these evil things come from within and defile a person. I just want to touch on the fact that pride, right? It's this sense of, like you don't need God forgiveness in a sense, or you don't need no help, or all that stuff. That is the cement of each building block in this prison. That sense of pride. That's it. I believe self is the reason why, and pride is the reason why most sin happens, because there becomes a lack of of vision of what God said, and now it's all about what we felt or what we thought or what we believed or what we want to believe. It solely makes it about us. It makes it about us, and that in itself is why we need community. Because once you make it about yourself, as defiled as you are, you find out that now all your perception is wrong. All your values are tainted. All your beliefs are skewed because you have made it about self. And I don't know about you, but if it wasn't for Jesus, I'm still defiled. But if it wasn't for Jesus, I wouldn't have a chance. I would just be a rotten mess. Can you imagine just sitting in rot, just sitting there like, yeah, I'm gonna just stay here. Let me bathe. I like it here. Like, no, there has to be better than this. There has to be more than just my mindset. There has to be more than just my thought pattern. There has to be more than just what I'm thinking. Stop thinking that you're so high that you can't receive forgiveness.
Come on.
I feel like that is the most high. We had a whole savior that died on a cross, bled, was bullied and tortured and taunted and died to forgive us. And we have the audacity to feel like that was null and void. What? You got some nerve.
Some nerve.
You got some nerve. Like, I died for you. I think about all those that did so much for us when it came to like civil rights and slavery. I think about those things, and I think about how they are looking at us now. I won't say all of us, some of us.
A lot of us.
Right. No, for real. Because how much, like, we did all this for y'all to vote and y'all don't want to vote at all. Y'all don't want to take pride in that. Or we did all of this so that you can have a right to go to school or to take a step out on faith and go to a college and start a business, and you're just sitting and resting in what? In what? In fear and doubt and guilt and shame and pride. Oh, I'm a black man, I'm a black woman, I can't do this. Oh, society has it out for me, I can't do this. What? So same thing with Jesus. How dare you? How did he did all of this so that you can have a right to eternal life, so that you can have a right to freedom, so that you can have a right to liberty and joy and peace and all these things that he says is yours. It's not that it might be yours. No, it's yours. It has your name on it. It is yours, but we are choosing because we don't want to get out of self. We don't want to get out of our emotions. We don't want to get out of pity parties. We don't want to get out of, oh, it's going to be okay, baby. You want that. And the Bible says those things that you want, you're going to get them. That's going to be your reward. The attention you were seeking is going to be your reward. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get, yes, girl, you got this. That's what you wanted. You're going to get it. But there has to be more outside of this jail cell. There has to be more beyond what they said. Whatever the light touches them. I want all of that. I want everything. I want all this, whatever is touching the grass, the dirt. I want every piece of my promise. So I want to touch on that because pride is a big thing, and we have to get out of self. Get out of self. It's more than that. There's a whole world out here. There's way more than what you only think and believe and made up in your mind.
Yeah.
Feelings are not fact. Okay? They need to be fact.
And the Bible talks about that pride comes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Like
a big fall.
Things will destroy because you are just like so tightly holding on to something like, nah, I ain't gonna say nothing because I ain't gonna have nobody judge me. And because people gonna judge you whether you say something or not. So you might as well get your healing while they talking. Because
nobody cares that much. How about that? Or nobody is caring that much in a sense to look at you and put you in a category because we done been there, did that. Okay, baby, we did that. All right, it's cool. Come on. I came up out of this too, so you can too. Let's go.
And that's the pride of it all, that we think, oh man, everyone's looking at me, and I think social media contributes to a lot of that. It puts us on display and, oh man, I got to live my life like I'm in a reality show. No, like that's a lot of that stems from that. And I love that visual, that pride is the cement that binds those bricks of guilt and shame and all, like here's the prison cell. It's right here. And these materials are very strong. You know, it's not like just a wind can blow these up. They have to be demolished.
Yes.
They have special tools have to be used to demolish these things because the materials are so strong. And when that pride sets in, it is almost indestructible unless you have the right tools, right? Unless you're able to say, let me get around this community that maybe I don't have the strength to break it down, but I need someone to pick up a hammer. I need someone to pick up a wrecking ball. I need someone to have a crane, someone to have something so that you can break me out of this, so that when it's time for me to help break you out, then I'm there and I'm available. And it's that reciprocity that we need. And, you know, that pride, it really does it destroys us. Yeah. It's not like, it's like, oh man, no, it breaks us down. It destroys us. It lets us, you know, it lets us down every time. And we put ourselves up so high because we're like, no one else in the world has gone through this. And it's just me. We must stop that. We must stop that because it's not true. And when you really find community, and that's one of the ways of breaking ourselves out of that prison cell, when we can say, oh, you've been through that too. All right, let's have a conversation about what that looks like. In that isolated space, it's like no one in the entire world, again, 8 billion people, no one in the entire world has gone through what I'm going through. That's another 3, 4, 5, 600 blocks that we're adding onto the prison cell. But the community allows us to be vulnerable. Like vulnerability is really the antidote to that pride. That I'm being vulnerable. I'm letting you know that I'm going through something. I'm going through a struggle. I'm going through an issue. And then you say, oh, I'm in that now. I've been through that. Man, that pride has nowhere to go. It has to flee. Because it's like, oh, I'm not out here on a tree limb by myself. Like, no, I'm out here with you. And we've gone through this together. We can talk about the shame and guilt. We can talk about what we've gone through. And then we can heal from this thing. That's the ultimate goal. That, we're going to talk about this, but we don't want to trauma bond like that. We don't want to, we want to talk about it and then say, how are we going to get up and get out of this prison? Let's break each other out. You know, let's get out of here.
You know, it reminds me of that scripture where when Jesus was in somebody's house and everybody and their mama was like wrapped around that building and they had a lame man and his friends were like, well, we can't go through the door.
Come on
through the window. I'm gonna rip that
daggone get you up in here, buddy.
And I'm hook a crook. And I'm going to lower you down. But Jesus' response was amazing to me because it wasn't the faith of the man.
No, preach, man, preach.
It was the faith of his community and his friends. He said, y'all's faith is the reason why this man will be healed. Pick up your bed and walk. You know what I mean? And we don't have moment of transparency, right? Before we hopped on this call, Jermaine was in some crazy whatevers. Now, when I tell you these lovely brown skinned ladies right here next to me or under me, whatever they are, on your
around
you,
they are them roof tearing type friends. You hear me? The reason why we was a little late because they was praying for me because Jermaine needed it. We've been going through some things, right? And something that Steph said is that when you're in the birthing room, when it's time for you to push, you don't want just anybody in that room. Because the words of people like, oh, those are just words. Words have power. Words create. Okay. Yes. Especially if you believe them things, because remember, God created with words, right? 5 of the things that he was creating was with words. It wasn't until he got to man where he actually got down and started to mold, right? So be careful who's in the room with you. And she said, because they could abort the thing that you're trying to give birth to. And to me, that rang home because sometimes you be so wanting community or companionship so bad. You're like, listen, you just shut up. Be in the room. Just shut up. But it's like, no, because you don't know what their presence brought in the room with them. Even if they didn't say nothing. You know what I mean? And so if you don't have the right people around you, maybe you just won't get the healing that you need because they're not them roof ripping type people. You know what I mean? Sometimes they're just going to let things happen to you and you're just going to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to pray for you, sis, or I'm going to be over here and doing the thing and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, hold on. Hold on. Let's talk about the what we call it, the allegories of all the letters that I usually do.
This is this is about what you about to say?
This is it.
Already done hit.
I'm trying not to get tongue tied.
That is good.
I am huge on safe spaces. If I don't do nothing else, I'm gonna be like, Lord, help me to be a safe space for people. Because safe spaces don't exist. So with the conversation that we're talking about, safe spaces secure silence and saddened souls. Okay. Ooh, safe spaces are needed because people are so silenced and people are more inclined to talk when the space is safe, right? People who are married, they tell the wives, like, be a safe space for him to land. Yeah. Don't be like the moment he come home and where was you and you say this, and he gonna be like, he's out. You know what I mean? You create silence when you are not a safe space. Yes. You are a hostile environment. You are not creating a safe space. And souls are saddened, y'all. Like, people are hurting. People are in some serious pain, all because they're suffering in silence. If you do not create that safe space, they will continue to suffer in silence because they think, like we've been saying, this pain that I'm in, it's unique to me. No one's ever felt this before. And even if they felt it, they didn't feel it the way that I'm feeling it. So therefore, no one's going to understand. Even if people don't, let me get this straight, y'all. I say this to my teenagers all the time. Not mine personally, I ain't got no kids. But just because I cannot empathize with you fully, right, doesn't mean I can't help you. Just because I ain't been in the same predicament, in the same situations, at the same age, doesn't mean I can't help you. And it's not about, and I always thought that about being a clinician. I was like, y'all, I ain't never gone through none. So who do I look like helping these people heal? And I barely had to heal from anything other than breaking my ankle when I was playing volleyball, right? I kind of ate my words because now I'm going through a lot of things, and now I'm able
I was about to say, careful.
But like, it's true. It's like, we don't have to go through the same things to be able to help you. Sometimes I need different perspectives. I need someone who hasn't been through something to be like, so how did you do it? Because the way I'm doing it ain't working. Insanity, right? I'm over here trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, expecting something different. But like, I need different perspectives. So again, safe spaces, secure, and secure as in like they bring security, they bring in like solidity and all those other things, right? Secure silence and saddened souls. So
man, like
that's good.
That's so good.
That's so good.
And it's so needed in this time. There is a shortage of safe spaces. Everyone is so self-centered, and it's hard to be a safe space if you're just focused on yourself. If you're not recognizing your tone, how you speak, and how you interact with those who consider you to be a safe space or a part of their community, like we have to all be together in this. Okay, we're all going through and we all have things happening, but there are times and places when you could be in a better place than somebody in your community, and that's your time to be the safe space. And you mentioned it in marriage. Oh my gosh, like we have to be the safe space. If someone's coming to us, if our significant other is coming to us, we can't be the ones who tear them down and beat them down, and I'm not, everyone has their own responsibility. I'm talking about fidelity. I mean, being faithful. I mean, we don't want to give the enemy any way in. We don't want to give him any space to say, oh, see, that's why you got to talk to so-and-so, have an emotional relationship with this one and get together with this one and because the safe space isn't provided. We have to take accountability for that. We're not saying, oh, we're making anyone do anything. What is our role and our part in this? And how do we have to comfort saddened souls?
That's right.
Secure the silence, okay, in the safe space. How do we have to do that? And what does that safe space look like? And what responsibility do we have to be that space? Absolutely, Mama. Exactly. That we have to say a smile is enough, and especially as clinicians, sometimes we have to just be like, there's not much that we have to say. It's the presence alone. We're not there to give you all the solutions. I believe everyone has their own solutions inside. We're just there to stir it up. Okay. Right. But that's a whole different topic. But the smile is enough, and the welcoming and open, just spirit that you have. I'm here. I'm not going to share this with anyone else. It's confidentiality. I'm here for you. And it just my presence alone, that's a safe space. And that I'm not going to judge you, right? I'm not going to beat you over the head. You're already beaten down. What do we look like beating someone else down?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
How do we make sure that we're the safe space so that people can say, I don't have to be in silence anymore. I can open my mouth. I can take off the muzzle, right? I can take off the tape. I can unzip my lips and I can speak, because it's in the speaking that we find the healing. It's in the vulnerability that we find the healing. And when we're silenced and when we cover our mouths and we're not able to speak, then we're really binding ourselves. So I love that. I love that so much, that we have to watch out that we're the safe space. Because we could encourage silence. I'm just saying, we could encourage silence by how we are a safe space or not a safe space.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that if we all have a focus, and we always gonna bring it back to Jesus, y'all, because at the end of the day, he is the center, and that he's
the center of it all.
It just makes sense.
Come on.
Because if we really were to just focus in on the morals and the principles and the word of God, just the things that he's been teaching us, right? To love him, right? And then to love people as we love ourselves. And I think about these things, and it's so many other things that, that we have as duty, as Christians, as children of God, as disciples, whatever you want to name it. However, the two greatest commandments all have to do with love and who we're directing that love to. And none of it had anything to do with self. It gave us a reflection of how you love yourself, but it wasn't a direct to love self. It said, it said to love God, right? Love God with everything in you, right? But then it also says to love people. It didn't say love self. It said love people. It says, as you love yourself, because there is this understanding that we are selfish in nature. So I'm going to make sure I put on clothes when I go outside. I'm going to make sure I eat something when I feel like it. I'm going to make sure, you're going to make sure of those things. So it was a reflection. The directive only came with an example to help us understand how we should be loving someone. But the directive was to love people.
Yeah.
If we all were to get to a place where we love God and love people, right? Oh my goodness, everything else will be fine, because just as much as I'm worrying about this person's soul, there's gonna be somebody out there worrying about mine.
That's good.
Correct.
We would never go without. We would
never be a lack.
Go with that. There would never be a lack. It would never be a lack. So if we can just push the people of God, those that are saying we're children of God, those that are saying we are disciples of the Most High, of Jesus Christ, and we can push that out and start working on self, chipping away at the things that we know defile the temple, chipping away at the things that we know are causing us to not show up the way God has commanded us to show up, and truly how we need to show up, because he deserves it.
Sure.
He deserves it. I appreciate his sacrifice. So I want to show up in the way that he is saying would be the best. And it's in that love. It's being that patient place, being that kind place, being that place of accountability. It's being all of that. Love encompasses all of that. So it's being all of that. If we just start chipping away at that, whether that look like going to counseling, okay, whether that look like some family counseling, whether that look like you have to be the one that says, hey, y'all, look, we've been arguing for a long time in this family, and I think we need to do a change. And everybody may not come, but if 2 people came out of the 10, start somewhere. Start somewhere, but do not silence yourself, because everyone may not show up. No, speak up. Yeah. Speak up. Let that thing sound like a trumpet. Hello.
Come on.
Tell the people their sins.
Come on.
Tell the people where they're going wrong, and tell yourself, so that we can start chipping away at this and kill. I mean, demolish the kingdom of Satan, because that's really all it is. That's really all it is.
That's good.
That's so good, and it really speaks to the unity that really brings joy to the Most High. Like, that unity, it's a great smelling fragrance and oil. It's like that unity, like that level of unity.
And mac and cheese.
Come on.
We almost made it. We was 6 minutes away, Dan.
6 minutes shy of it. Couldn't even do it.
But it smells
it
good.
just is what it is. It's true. It's the unity. I mean, if we're going to be unified in our trauma, then we need to be unified in our healing.
Come on.
And I like that you said, Dominique, that if it's 15 people who all need the healing, we're talking about a family unit, we're talking about a friend circle, we're talking about wherever, we're talking about a church fit, we're talking about all these silos and all these different cliques and stuff. This healing that is needed. We don't need 100% participation to begin. That you find the people who are ready to walk the journey, and those will be the forerunners. Those will be the ones to clear the way out and cut through the jungle. And you walk together and you go together in that unity. You're unstoppable. You're unbreakable. There is very little that can penetrate through that, right? Because that unity also provides that protection and that strength. And when I don't have it, y'all have it. When y'all don't have it, I have it. And it's just shared. It's like a shared banking system. So I love all the visuals. And it just makes the most sense, when we're talking about breaking ourselves out of this prison. Sometimes we can't do it. And I mentioned that before. Sometimes we can't do it. When you're in prison, you really can't do it. But you need the people who are going to help break you out of there, that good, solid community that you have sowed into and are now sowing back into you. And again, it's the time of sowing and reaping and harvest and all that. We just tying in, that you can reap the harvest that you sowed. And that means that in my thoughts and when I'm going through and when I'm struggling and when I'm saying, hey, y'all, I'm crying out for help. This is me being vulnerable. This is me putting my pride aside. This is me stomping and quenching out guilt and shame. And I'm saying, y'all, I need help. How are you going to show up for the community, that you sowed into? And what does that look like? And it is our responsibility to break each other out, to knock down those thoughts, to shoot those birds out the sky, right? To uproot the nest and all that. Okay, this is a good question. How do you ask for help with something that you feel nobody else experienced it, even if they have overcome it? It's such a taboo in the Christian community. Very few people talk about it. Such a great question. Thank you for that. I think just even coming to the understanding that our feeling, because you mentioned the word feel, that we might feel that nobody else has experienced it, but let's just knock that out immediately. Someone else has experienced it, right? I think that's the first step, and everyone else will share on that. That's the first step, that we're saying someone else has experienced this. So our feelings, we acknowledge our feelings. We don't quench them. We don't push them down. We process through our feelings. So you can feel that nobody else has experienced this. And then we say, but I know that someone else has experienced this. And then that is the prayer point. See, our feelings and emotions and our issues and our thoughts, they become the prayer points. So Father, direct me to the people who've experienced this and put me in the right places and spaces where I have a conversation with someone on accident. It's a coincidental conversation. It lets me know that someone else is going through this, and let's see how we can work through this together. Either they're in it or they've already been through it. So man, they can help me, they can navigate me and guide me, right? And it's a huge taboo in the Christian community because we don't want to share. And the church mothers who have been through so much shame and hurt, and the church fathers and the deacons, they are now so renewed and transformed that they have forgotten about their past. And they don't want to help anybody else through it. Nah, baby, we're saying someone else's experience.
All them toes.
Come on. You went through all this hell, and you mean you don't want to help me? I'm in hell now. You don't want to help me navigate through these flames. So that's firstly. I'm gonna land this plane. Firstly, let's take a bat and knock that out. Somebody else has experienced this. I know you may be feeling it, or you may be asking on behalf of someone else. What you've been through, someone else has experienced it. There's nothing new under the sun, right? I think that's a good foundational place.
That is a great foundational place.
And so when you acknowledge that someone else has experienced it, then we allow ourselves to attract those who experienced it and who have not just experienced it and are stuck in it. They experienced it and they conquered it and they made it through. Those are the people that you want to attract to yourself. So that's my comment on that.
Yeah. And then once you start fighting that, right, that feeling that no one else, also keep this in mind too, because the word will also fight your thoughts too, because the Bible says if we ask for wisdom, right? He gives it to us upbraided liberally and upbraided not, meaning it's something that if we ask for, he is willing to give it. Right? Yes. Solomon was the wisest man because he asked for wisdom, and he had wisdom to deal. Check this out. The first thing that Solomon had to deal with, one of the first things, right? 2 women fight over a baby. Solomon, a whole man, he don't know nothing about being a mama. He don't know nothing about being a woman. Okay. So now he has to deal with this. So I say that to say that even if for whatever reason that little tiny intrusive thought tries to keep you, the Bible declares that when people ask for wisdom, God will give somebody something for your situation, even if they never been through it. Even if they never been through it, God will give you. God give somebody something, say, oh, I need to tell her about this. I need to tell her maybe she shouldn't do this, or maybe she shouldn't go that way, and they ain't got nothing to do with, nothing. They're not in your social class. They're not in your age group. They're not in your generation. They not even female or male. They are not. But God, the Spirit, the Bible says the Spirit of God pray. It's an intercessor. It prays the perfect prayer, because there's just certain things that we may never know. But God, the Spirit of God, will come and give it to you, and then allow somebody to come see you and say, hey, I wanted to share this wisdom with you, or hey, I wanted to pray with you about this situation. Yes. So you have to not only fight the fact that, oh, I feel like no one has gone through it. No, somebody has gone through it, but for whatever reason, if you feel like you just can't fight that, right? Know that the Bible declares that he gives wisdom. They ain't got nothing to do with us. They ain't got nothing to do with our educational. Nothing. He chooses to give it to us when we ask. So if I'm concerned about you and I want to know how to help my sister, how to help my brother, I'm saying, God, what can I give them? What is the problem? And he will give it to us. There's people that have solutions to cancer and never had cancer before, but God gave them an answer.
That's it.
So God is the complete thing. So just know that, like, wisdom comes from God. It comes from God, from the Most High. It comes from God, and he'll give people what you need.
Yeah.
I've never been through.
And at you were kind of alluding to it, but don't look for it to come from a certain place, right? I.e. Samuel and David and Balaam and the donkey and Peter and the raven. Listen, it's not always going to look like the way that we envision it.
No.
Yeah. And that's why, like, when the Bible talks about the blind leading the blind, sometimes we are out here taking counsel from the wrong people. We all fit in the head into that ditch, right?
Ooh,
when the Bible talks about wise counsel, wisdom is knowledge with some discernment, and then you apply it. Yeah. It's not just intellect. It's not just smarts. You can't find it in a book. Okay. Yeah. Wisdom is a principal thing, as the Bible would say, because we can't just have knowledge. We have to have the discernment on when and how to use it. Right. And so if it comes from a child, if it comes from something you was watching on TV, listen here, and this might sound real crazy, but you know how many revelations I got from my own life watching like a Disney movie or watching like something on TV.
Come on.
It happens, right? When God knows how to speak to you in a way that you will receive it, that's the way he's going to do it. Right. It may not come from an audible person like, hey, I want to tell you da 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 da. You might witness something, you might see something in nature that happens, and God is like, I needed you to see it and hear it. Yeah. Right? Because sometimes we just hear things like, nah, that ain't come from him, or we see things like that look crazy. But when both are together, God can.
It's a beautiful combination.
The fullness. And oh my goodness.
I love that, and it's kind of funny, Jamae, I was going to say that to your mom, kind of similar to that, like that the people who were to break us out of prison might be younger than us, and the vessels might be younger than us. So I'm saying it now to everybody. It's they might not look like the vessels that we had in our mind. Sometimes we're like, oh, someone is older and someone is wiser, but we're in that season where the Holy Spirit is pouring out on all flesh.
What the Bible says.
That age and gender and your social
spirit, there is none.
Doesn't matter, all those limitations that we put on ourselves and each other. And I'm only going to accept things from this specific vessel. Nah, we're done with that. That the vessels who are going to break us out.
I feel the sword. It's cutting
Come
everybody.
on now. They might not look like what we have envisioned. And so do we keep ourselves in prison because we have rejected those who were sent to break us out because they don't look like? And
I wait a minute.
I want to say that to you too, Belima, that are you looking at the vessels who need to break you out? Are we using our spiritual eyes to see and not we all have our own, this person looks highly anointed and they'll be full of the devil. Okay. And they have the bricks and the cement in their hands to bind you and hold you up. So we're allowing ourselves to drop all of the expectations that we have for those who are coming to break us out and open ourselves up and ready to receive those who have truly come to break us out and to share, and they're not afraid to share what they're going through and what they're experiencing. My sisters, we are embarking. We are pulling into ports on the end of this episode, and it's been so beautiful. I hear the prison doors opening and swinging wide open, and we're able to walk out, because reality is we always had the keys in our hand of our own prison cell, and we hear those things jingling like, where are the keys? They were always here in our hand. And we could not see them because of shame and pride and guilt and all the stuff over them. But the prison doors are opening, and do we have the courage to walk out, so we don't have to be in silence anymore? So we can do a quick wrap up, final thoughts. What do we want to let the people know? Thank you to everyone who commented, who shared, who let us know what you're going through. We appreciate you. We thank you for tuning in. This is a time of great healing and great deliverance. And if you see that prison door swinging open, don't sit in that corner and be like, oh, I got to stay. No, walk out of that thing and open your mouth. And because our words will really break us out of those things. So let's do a quick wrap up. What do we want to leave the people? What taste do we want to leave in the mouths of the listeners as we end?
Well, I can say this, right? As you were talking, I think it's vitally important to realize that when, in the Bible, when Jesus had died and he went and took the keys from death, hell, and the grave, right?
That's good.
That means them doors were forever open. It was forever open, right? But don't let shame, guilt, pride, fear keep you sitting there. And sometimes, like the Bible, I think we misquote it. We often say that whom the Son sets free is free indeed. The Bible says who the Son made free is free indeed. So you were made free. Don't go back to that prison because the thought put you in there. Don't go back to that prison because shame put you there. Don't go back because someone said you're not worthy of forgiveness or you're not worthy to continue. You were made free. That means you ought to do the thing that you were created to do, and that is done in freedom, because we're not fighting for victory. We are fighting from victory, and therefore the doors are open. Walk out and don't turn around like the Bible talks about the dog returning to its vomit. We're not
vomit.
Walk away and trust God that whatever He has in front of you, and I'm speaking to myself too.
That's what I'm saying. You preaching to yourself.
Trust that thing, because we do not want to turn around, turn into a pillar of salt, and be stuck where God had set us free from.
My mind.
So doors are open. You're made free.
My God, the doors
of the church are open. Come on, build everyone.
The thing that keeps coming to my head. So I had a client who was nonverbal. He was autistic, but he was nonverbal, meaning we could not get sound from him. And God rest his soul, he passed away because of drowning. And the Lord began to deal with me as we were talking about this. He began to bring that image to me, because your voice and your ability to ask for help is such a gift, and it's such a treasure. Because the reason why we couldn't get a sound from him to know that he was in this trouble, to know that he was drowning. And this is why he drowned. And I'm thinking about that, how we are selectively muting ourselves. we have a gift. We have a gift and a voice to say, hey, I need help. Scream, hey, help me, please. We have it. We have it. So do not take for granted the fact that you have this mouthpiece that can ask for the help that you need. Don't just advocate for others. Don't just say, hey, I see someone drowning. When you find yourself rattled in that wave, you scream it for yourself too, so that we can know to come, so that safety knows to come, so that the lifeguards know to start swimming, so that we can bring the floaty device if you couldn't get it. Like, we know now to come. We know to come, and you have this gift, and you have this voice that you have for a reason, and just use it. Ask for the help that you so need. And then when the help does come, don't turn it away because it looks like somebody else. What I love about swimming, what I realized, a lot of things, but really with swimming, you can learn how to swim. People can learn how to be safe spaces. You can learn how to swim. You can learn how to float. You can learn how to swim. I could be drowning, and it could be a 5-year-old little boy that come, I got you, I'm coming, and they'll come and get me, because they're the ones that's there, and they're the ones that had the capacity and the bravery and the faith and the boldness to get out there and do it. So just know that, like, ask for the help because you have a gift in the voice. But when the help comes, know that it can come in many different packages. Anybody can learn how to swim. Yeah. The 5-year-old boy can learn how to swim. The 19-year-old young lady can learn how to swim. The 75-year-old man can learn how to swim, and they will get to you. The saints will get to you if you just use that voice and cry out and say, hey, help me, I'm drowning. Use it. It's a gift. It's a gift. It's a gift.
That's good.
And on that note, we are dropping the mic. Okay. That's it. We're broken out of the prison of silence. That's it. We're letting our pride, our shame, our guilt go, and we're waving our hands. We need help. Ayúdame. Help us.
Ayúdame.
Okay. Ayúdame. Help. Yeah. We're not imprisoned anymore. We're not in shame. And there's a level of freedom and, like, you can breathe, and your shoulders are like, I'm not so burdened down, and that big elephant is not sitting on our chest. We are free, and we're walking out of the open prison doors. We've been praying to be released, and we've been released, and we won't waste our release. So we thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. We will see you on our next episode. Continue to share this and comment and let us know how you feel. We're walking through this together. We're free. And we're made free. We're made free. And we're going to remain free and walk out of the prison cell. All right. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.